Hello, how's everybody doing on Thursday? I'm just going to go over a brief primer, let's call it, for finger picking. Those that want to do finger picking on a 6-string, standard pitch tuning for starters. And down the road I'll absolutely go into doing the same exact patterns and so on for open tuning. And being one of my favorite open tunings would be open D. So anyhow, we're going to be referencing initially to the chord C. So when you have that under your fingers, but we're not going to do left hand first. We're going to do right hand because that's really where a lot of the finger picking action happens. A lot of it. Now, if you watch your fingers in terms of where they're placed on strings, the thumb is going to be assigned traditionally on strings 4, 5, and 6. The index finger is going to be on 3. The middle finger is going to be assigned to string 2 when that comes up to pull a note or whatever. And the ring finger, which you might think doesn't get used, but it does, is going to do string number 1. Now what about the poor pinky? Well, the pinky becomes, at least for me and for many other people too, it becomes like a kickstand. It's just supporting my right hand. And apart from that, which you may not be able to see that well from that angle, but as I get right up close onto the bridge, like that, and specifically right onto the saddle, the white dealy bob there, and what that allows me to do is to mute the string, which you can really get control of strings that you don't want to have playing because you have your hand right there, the palm of your hand, heel of your hand, I suppose you call it technically, and you just relax your right hand on top like that. Now the angle is not something that's so grotesque, like you'll see some classical players doing this. I don't do that because it just doesn't feel natural. But by the same token, you don't want to be so straight on with the strings that when you're pulling the strings, nothing's happening. You want to be actually thinking about having sort of a hitchhiker thumb, sort of, thing sticking out, and the idea that your fingertips are going to be plucking the strings upward. Now, initially, if you're learning finger picking, you can just do nothing else again but just work with your right hand at first. In other words, what you want to do are things without looking at your hand. That's the tough part. Look initially to get focused on where you need to be. And in this case, I'm on thumbs on string 4, and I have index on string 3, middle fingers on string 2, and ring fingers on string 1. Now, what you can do as an exercise is, without changing any finger positions or anything, get your kickstand going on there, resting the heel of the hand down, also just to relax. Pluck string 4, come back, just touch it to silence it, and then string 3, and start associating the sound of that string and the feel of that string in relation to your other fingers without looking. String 3, index finger, string 2, the B string, that's going to be for your middle finger. And over time, and it's really a very short time when you combine doing musical things, it just makes an inroads into your memory banks a lot faster doing that. And of course then you have the ring finger. Now, the way we're set up anatomically is the ring finger and the pinky don't especially like to do very much. I mean, they go along to get along and so on, but the lead fingers are these two guys. However, these guys are very trainable, including the pinky, so I always encourage the use of all fingers when you can. And anyhow, so we were on here. Now you can just think numbers in terms of string numbers. We have skinny to fat, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? So you want to think going downward down toward the floor is actually going up in terms of pitch. Low down here and high there. So you might be thinking that down is that way, and is, but going up in terms of guitar sound, instrument sound that you have, just like going up on a piano is to the right. Another sense of going up on a guitar is going from the headstock up to the body, and down is the reverse. So the orientation is very important to have that basis going on instead of having to second guess that. So here we are back at this position. Now string-wise, I've got 4, 3, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 1, 2, 3. Now you can challenge yourself by skipping around and going something like 4, 2, 3, 1, 4, 2, 3, 1, 4, 2, 3, 1, 4, 2, 3, 1. And these number combinations are relating directly to string numbers, and the patterns will be done repetitively. So there's not like a bazillion chords in the bazillion chord book. There's not that. There's just a limited number of patterns that you learn, and you add things just like one at a time as you can do them. Okay, so now what goes on initially with the C in place is that in this case we're going to be going string-wise 5, 3, 4, 2, just on a C chord. And so my thumb goes on the 5th string in this case. My index finger is going to be doing the number 3 string, thumb again on string 4, and then lastly is going to be the middle finger, on number 2 string. So the pattern becomes string-wise 5, 3, 4, 2, and thumb, index, thumb, middle. Now that's a traditional basic Travis or Merle Travis roll type. And the closest thing for me, given my generation and everything, would be like Paul Simon doing that kind of stuff. I am just a poor boy, though my story is seldom told, and so on. But that's a Travis roll. Now with that, in fact, on the same line, I'm going to show you this piece of paper, and you can take a gander at it. Excuse me, if you want to DM me about, I can send you a copy of this. And if you put a little coffee money in my coffee jar, that would be at Venmo, Brian-Cole-135. That's Venmo at Brian-Cole-135. Just for coffee money, if you feel like it. No pressure. So here we have the basic roll. Now, you have the same roll, only this time around, given the nature of the chord C, we're going to be using what's referred to as an alternate bass, meaning that we're going to go from the 3rd fret of string 5 to the 3rd fret of string 6 and back again. So the cycle then becomes 5, 3, 4, 2, 6, 3, 4, 2, 5, 3, 4, 2, 6, 3, 4, 2. Yeah. And you've got thumb, index, thumb, middle, thumb, index, thumb, middle. And there it is. If you just do that like 20 to 30 times, close your eyes, don't stare at either hand. Give your hands time to learn their position by feel. Asking that a lot because I was just thinking of other things too. Okay, so here's what that looks like on paper anyways. And hold that up to a little bit so you can see it. Finger picking rolls using the C chord, basic Travis roll, as you can see. And now things will change up a little bit with the chord G. So rather than with that bass line we talked about earlier, where you have this string-wise again, you're going to be going 5, 4, 6, 4, 5, 4, 6, 4, 5, 4, 6, 4. Well, when you put a G chord in the mix, and again I'm using a 2-3-4 G, which is the most useful, but doesn't make this one wrong. It's just that the other one's more handy for the next chord coming up usually. That's why you do that. Be prepared to do both, but this one's going to be used more. But in that case, the roll then becomes 6, 4, 5, 4. Wait a minute, isn't that the same? Yes, except for the fact that the starting root note on C is going to be C, which is the 5th string. And then on the G, you're going to start with the 6th string because the root note is on the 6th string. I'm overemphasizing the bass so you can hear that constant thing going. Play to the point where you just don't think about it too much. Where I get lost, anybody could get lost, is when you start thinking of adds. Things like that. Well, so fingerpicking is just really, really fun, and I encourage you to learn it if you don't already know. And if you do know some stuff too, there's of course other directions you can go down the road. There are a couple other patterns I wanted to show you though first before we go very much farther. What I ended up calling in my teaching days, like they were 100 years ago or whatever now, but was roll 1 was the one that we heard earlier. Here's the same thing with the alternate bass. Now roll number 2 is a similar thing, except for the fact that roll number 2 starts with a triple grab on the right hand. Triple grab meaning strings 2, 3, and 5 all together for the downbeat. And then it's going to go 4, 3, 5, 4, 3, 5, 2, 4. 4, 3, 5, 2, 4. So it's a triple grab. So we have multiple grab, strings 2, 3, and 5, and then strings 4, 3, 5, 2, 4. Remembering that the thumb is both going to cover string 5 and string 4, and you got to stick to those numbers on those strings. That's the tough part at first. Your other fingers, the dominant ones specifically, want to do everything. They just do. And that's great, except for when you're learning this stuff. Now roll number 3, well, let me finish roll number 2. Roll number 2, you have this multiple grab. String it down. That's roll number 2. Roll number 3 is starts out with a single note and then a double combination on top. Meaning, and we're still holding the chord C to manage this. You don't really have to use a chord, but it just sounds nicer to do that. So your fingertips might get a little indented by the time you get done doing this, but roll 3 starts with the 5th string and then goes to a combination of strings 2 and 3. Comes back to 5, string 5, and then on the 2nd string again, and the 4th string. When you put that together rhythmically, you've got is down the road is you take roll 3 as a lead pattern and then you combine that with roll 2 and things start to get very interesting and familiar at the same time because you start to hear, oh, that's what they're doing out there. And yeah, so you've got this. So you can hear it. I can call out the roll numbers. 3. Let's get it straight. 3, 2, 3. Gosh darn it. 3, 2, 3. See, I can't walk and talk at the same time. Okay, so see if you can guess. This is 3. I'm going to combine that because I'm used to doing it with the alternate basses involved, so don't let that throw you. That just means you'll hear instead. Right? You'll hear that, which you should hear. That's what you're working towards as well, so why not lay it in there? There's 3. There's 2. 3. 2. 3. 2. 3. 2. 3. Right, so there you go. It's about, I'm on about a 17, 18 minutes right now. So I'll go on to something else, make this a separate clip of itself. But yeah, it's finger picking rolls. And there's the entire sheet, which again, if you want to message me, I'll send you a copy of this and get you started. And then I'll show you some other things. Like I was working earlier for myself as well too on Alice's Restaurant by Oliver Guthrie, 1967. And there's some interesting finger picking in that as well too, a little more advanced. I don't like those words, but they're just more involved, and it just requires spending time with your instrument and repeating the patterns over and over and over again until somebody's banging on the door going, "Knock it off! Don't you know any real music?" Put up with that for, oh gosh, maybe a year or two, and really impressing people. And they'll ask you, "Well, what song is that?" And you go, "It's just finger picking," because that's kind of what it comes down to after a while. And that makes it so much easier for you to play great many songs, because a lot of songs are built around those patterns. They just are. Unlike this one, which is Adelita from the 1600s. I'm just going to do part of it. Screwing this up. I'll stop there. Stop overhead, right? This one requires, even for me, which you might think, "Ooh," but I'm not all that either. I have my frailties and I'll freelord nothing. But a piece like Adelita which is a mazurka type of piece by Tariga. That requires reviewing, getting it together to do it proper, and I'll do that sometime. But right now I just wanted to get some basic fingerpick technique information out there. So that's it. See you next time. Bye.